What's up, guys? I'm Melissa Mushaka, and I have a hidden gem with me, Christopher John Rogers.
Yeah.
I'm excited! I'm wearing one of his originals.
Yes.
This amazing designer, who's only 22, from Louisiana,
correct,
is getting so much attention, so much credibility and spotlight in the industry, and you've not even debuted anything yet. You've not even done an interview yet. This is his first sit down with little old me. How, who, what? Tell me.
Yeah.
When did this begin for you? I know you started designing before middle school.
Yeah, I started designing in 4th grade in elementary school. I was like a big anime, manga, video game kid. And so I used to draw a lot of comics myself with like friends. And then one of my friends, Catherine, brought to my attention that all of the characters were wearing the same thing all the time. And I was like, yeah, but like that's normally how things go, right? Like characters don't change their outfits, but I was like, why not? Give it a try. So then I started sketching, and then it became an obsession slowly. And then by 5th grade, I knew I wanted to go to fashion school. I knew I wanted to have my own line, and ever since then, I've been working towards that slowly.
5th grade?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's amazing because a lot of people, and a lot of what I love to talk about and encourage people is how to find your passion, how to stay motivated in whatever you're doing, how to find it, period. And so many of us, myself included, spent a lot of time lost, which was really just me doubting myself. So how did you maneuver so young, knowing that that is what you were meant to do, and stick with it and not waver?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just the kind of person who, like, when I want to do something, it's gonna happen. It was just a matter of time. So I began researching fashion schools, the things that you need to do to get into fashion schools. By like middle school, I'd already done, like, started doing really, in my opinion, like really good fashion sketches, and I got into all the schools I wanted to go to, and I just kind of like made things happen. And I kind of like don't believe in excuses. So if you want to do something, just get it done. And my parents were always really supportive. My friends were always really supportive. The people in my community in Louisiana were always very supportive of my work. So it kind of just, it all kind of worked together in that way.
So fast forward now, you're here in like New York City.
Yes.
You haven't even lived here, but for how long?
I officially moved here 2 months ago.
2 months ago. So how has that transition been in a fast city, in fashion, which is a fast industry?
Yes.
And you're hustling because nothing happens overnight.
Right, exactly.
Right. So how is the day-to-day steps and keeping going with what you want to do? How's that going?
It's cool. I've interned the past 2 summers with designers in New York. For like 3 months at a time. So moving here wasn't too big of a adjustment. I kind of knew like what to expect in terms of like traveling, meeting people, talking to people, being social, and still like doing things that you need to do in order to survive. So it hasn't been too difficult. I've been doing freelance work and assisting a few designers since my move here. And now I'm just kind of like taking it day by day, answering emails, sending things out for press, celeb options, and just like really trying to make things happen, but in a really considered and articulated manner. Not trying to rush anything.
For sure, because I think everything good comes with time, patience, prayer, in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? So take me through the mind of a designer, because I feel like I'm that kid that still loves to ask why, like why, and how. So like for instance, I'm wearing this jacket, which is literally amazing. It's well constructed. It's got so much detail. You guys can't feel it's very textured. So how do you conceptualize something that's in your mind and then you make this come to life, and it's so fly?
Thank you. I kind of just always draw inspiration from similar things and then sort of integrate different things that I'm obsessed with at the moment into different collections. So for this one, I was inspired by mid-century art, a lot of indigenous cultures from Africa, especially Ethiopia and Tanzania.
Well, I saw you worked with Jackie Nickerson, is her name?
She was actually the inspiration for the collection. Her photographs, she documents agricultural farmers.
In Zimbabwe, which is where I was born.
So, oh, really?
Yeah, so I was like, this is crazy. Like, who is this woman doing all this documentary work via photos that you then played on for your collection, which I thought was so dope.
Thank you.
How did you find her? How did that even...
One of my professors actually brought her up. He was like, I see that you use a lot of imagery that's rooted in Africa. And so he said you might want to check her out. And she actually was in a lot of like the process work that I was doing for the collection already. I just didn't know her name.
Yeah.
So it was great. So I delved into her work, delved into a lot of the people from the Igbo tribe in Ethiopia.
That's Ethiopian?
Yeah, it's like in that area.
In that region, okay.
In that region. And they do a lot of body painting, a lot of found objects they'll use to incorporate into clothing that they already have.
Yeah.
Like trash bags, and they'll mix it with like a t-shirt. So it's something super constructed with something self-made, and I think that's always interesting. So taking something utilitarian and like as quotidian as like a denim jacket and elevating it with a really expensive fabric, really expensive finishes, and embroidering it and taking the everyday and making it really exciting and luxurious is something that I'm always interested in.
Yes.
And for things to always look expensive and for things to always look like the price that it is.
Yeah.
Because growing up and not necessarily having like money to just buy anything that you wanted.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna spend money on something, it's gonna look like I spent money on something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I do.
So that's something that I always try and insert into the work that I do.
So what is it about the lure of keeping things looking luxurious and expensive that inspires you? And like when you think of your target woman that you're dressing, like who is she and what is she doing?
She is doing everything because she's busy.
Right.
I like women that are intelligent, that don't take themselves too seriously, but still understand that the things that they wear are important, and they project something into the world. I love Tracee Ellis Ross. I think that she's so on it. It's like her style. Even if her style wasn't something that I identified with, I think that her as a woman, she is so progressive.
She owns it.
Yes.
Right?
And so she's great. I think that there are a lot of like fashion editors that are really influential to me. Shiona Turini, I think Solange is great. She's amazing. So just women that are busy, women that have like things to do. I like making separate, so like jackets, pants, shirts that you can integrate with other things in your wardrobe, because it's like, who's buying a dress to just like wear 5 days a week?
Unless you're Flawless.
Exactly. Who's also, again, perfect.
Right, she is perfect. So now that you have, work that you can tangibly showcase and so forth, like how have people been able to find you? Like, Eve wore another jacket of yours. Like you've been tapped on the jack by several big names. I'm not sure if I can say them or not.
Yes.
How are they finding you? And it's the power of social media, or is it just like networking? Like teach us your ways.
It's really just like putting things out there that I believe in. So keeping Instagram constantly, like feeding the feed, posting images of things that I find inspiring that people may connect with, and then also when people wear things or people will pull things for editorials, I just repost them to show that there's interest in the brand and interest in the work that I do. And people mostly find me through like social media and like word of mouth. And a friend of a friend.
Well, this is interesting to me, and I was talking to a gentleman who's here, Izzy, about this and how Fashion Week is almost going to become somewhat irrelevant because we have walking Fashion Weeks on our phone. Like your Instagram can literally continuously showcase your work, but you are young enough to where you don't have the wherewithal. And this is just my opinion, no shade, but you're young enough to where like you've grown up kind of with this like instant culture of you can just show everything right away. Like do you feel the shift at all, or is it just the norm to you to be like, I made this, I show it right away, boom, boom, boom? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
for me, I like an aura of mystery, and I like showing people process, and then just kind of like showing them the end product. I do kind of like I haven't just started in fashion, if that makes sense.
No,
or in terms of like my research.
Well, we know, 4th grade.
So I kind of grew up in a time where people waited 6 months to get the clothes they wanted.
Got you.
You didn't see everything right away, and I thought that also brought a luxurious and glamorous quality to fashion that I would hope to continue in the work that I do. There are a lot of designers who are doing the whole see now, buy now thing.
Yes.
Well, they'll premiere a collection, then all of a sudden you can buy it. But I don't think that women are necessarily so slow or so impatient that they wouldn't want to wait 6 months for something to be made perfectly.
Right.
In order to get the things that they want. So I try not to rush things.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm very into letting things take their time and going with the flow. And
that's unique in a culture that, in a day and age that we don't do that.
I
I struggle with that, and I didn't grow up in the social media era.
Yeah.
But like for you, I've heard that is something that you really stand by, of taking your time and letting things marinate.
Yes.
Is that just because that's like your personality, or you want your work to have that element of surprise?
I'm actually slightly impatient.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I personally like getting things done quickly.
Yes.
But I do understand that in order for things to go the way in which I would like them to, that I need to take my time.
Yeah.
And I need to let things happen in a natural way. So, yeah. I mean, like, this jacket wasn't made in a day.
Of course.
So you can't just like rush at things that are beautiful, in my opinion.
Right. I love that. So a lot of up-and-coming designers are going to watch this, and they're going to look to what you're doing and be inspired. Other young people in Idaho, Italy, Brooklyn. So what advice would you give them where you're at, you know, not having debuted yet, but having your work already being seen globally? Like, what advice would you give them for people starting out and wanting to be where you're at?
I think the most important thing, as hackneyed as it may be, is to just be yourself. Don't look at what everyone else is doing, and don't try, and this goes for like fashion, music, whatever. You need to make sure that the things that you're doing are true and authentic to you, and don't look to other people to define that for you. If there are designers or artists or musicians that you really click with, see what they're doing and see how they got to where they got, and then try and maneuver in a similar way for yourself.
Right.
I guess, if you're going to look to someone.
For sure.
So yeah, and work hard, take your time, don't rush, and don't ever give up.
Don't ever give up, right? That's really key.
Yeah.
I never thought those words were so poignant until I was in certain situations where I'm like, oh my gosh, the giving up can be something that's like a reality.
Yeah.
Do you keep like the right people around you, friends, family?
Definitely.
Because you're 2 months in.
Yeah.
So like, you know.
FaceTime family every day, FaceTime friends every day. Gotta get it in.
Right?
Yeah.
So you also got nominated for a CFDA, which is incredible.
Yeah.
How did you find out, and what does that mean to you?
Well, as a senior fashion design student in school, you are encouraged to participate in the CFDA Plus program certification, and you submit a portfolio, you submit an interview, a video, you have to have a recommendation from professors and everything, and then they go through hundreds of applications from around the world, and some of the best design schools, Parsons, SCAD, FIT, Central St. Martin's, London College of Fashion, and then they pick their top. So I was one of the top 51 applicants.
Wow.
And it just means that the CFDA, the Council of Fashion Designers of America, have claimed you as one of the best of your graduating class in the world.
Wow. Congratulations. Has that sunk in? Because you say it very nonchalant.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of.
It's like, what is sinking in when you're like so busy working, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was super excited when I found out, which was like a few days ago. So,
okay, so it's fresh.
Yeah.
So let's say next year this time you want to be where?
Next time this year I want to, if I haven't already, I would love to have debuted a collection during New York Fashion Week and being sold in stores that I find inspiring and that the women that I want to dress find inspiring.
Yeah. As a designer, and you're someone who's constantly critiquing women's bodies, and not critiquing in a negative way, but just that's how you dress women.
Yes.
How do you, kind of navigate those conversations? And I love that you just said you're not trying to dress a particular body type, but that comes up, especially when you're, bigger names and so forth.
Yes.
So how do you navigate that?
There's a certain formula for fashion on the runway. Of course, there is also the motive of like skinny is pretty, white is pretty, tall is pretty, and so like you have to try and navigate those conversations in a way where you can get to where you want to be while still challenging them and like making way for more people who want to be in the industry and who want to wear these clothes and participate in the conversation.
Right, like when you do your work, do you recognize that you hold the power to kind of change that conversation, to change that viewpoint, to even say like, why does sample size have to be a sample size?
That's also very true. And I think that it's important for people in positions of influence and power to use that power to better the world. As like, we all know that, right? But there are a lot of people who don't do that. A lot of people who take advantage of that and sort of will like put things on in ways that may not necessarily need to be on them.
Yes.
But, you know, it is what it is. And all I can do for myself is put forth an image that I think is inclusive and representative of people that I find beautiful and inspiring.
Yes, well, speaking of inspiring, my last point is the fur coat, which instantly clues in. When I think you, I think that fur coat and how amazing it is.
Thank you.
And then just learning that you got the fur, it's Saga fur, which I knew nothing about. So we'll show the fur for those of you who are like, what is she talking about? So take me through this glamorous fur coat.
I won a fur design competition through my school, SCAD, and I was one of 7 students nominated to go to Denmark to learn more about fur with Saga Furs, which is based in Copenhagen. And we learned about like the raccoon and fox and mink and the dyeing process, grading furs, auctioning. And so then I left there with like a sample stole that I had made myself. Went back to school, sent them an email and a few sketches telling them about like my mission for the collection, what I'd like to do after school and all these things. And they were so, I guess, taken aback by the work that they decided to sponsor me with anything that I guess, designed. So then I went to the factories and talked to them about the code and everything, and they helped me make it a reality.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. And
Just
I love
ask
this.
for what you want.
Ask for what you want. And I went to this interview and we got it, and I love this moment because when you debut, we're gonna sit down again. And we're gonna be talking about what you're wearing, what I'm gonna be wearing of yours, who's been wearing it. And I thank you so much. I'm so proud of you. We're gonna cheer you on. We're gonna keep showing your work. And how much fitting that we are in a space here in Brooklyn called 727 Create, talking to creatives about creating. So if you don't know 727, check it out. We'll have information in the video. And thank you all for watching. Peace.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Oh. So good.
Yeah?
Was it good?
So good.